Hello and welcome to Ensigns to the Nations. This is our channel where we talk about the Come Follow Me lessons each week as a family. We have our large crew here today because we're actually filming this on Mother's Day, so we're so excited to have many of our kids and grandkids here today with us as we discuss this week's lesson, which is the book of Joshua.
Yep, the book of Joshua. All of the book of Joshua. In the lesson manual, it's only a few different chapters, but it covers pretty much his whole life.
And what we always do in our channel is we look at the lesson material so that you'll get something new out of it and unique. You're going to see the lesson material in an interesting way you never have looked at it before. You're going to study it, learn some new doctrine, and then you're going to shine. See, study, and shine. And shine just means you're going to apply these principles to your life.
And it's also a very shiny day today.
It is.
So that's
sorry
the
for
sunglasses.
So for C, a couple of weeks ago was the Kentucky Derby. You guys, who saw that?
I saw it.
Did any of you watch it?
I saw Jason Dart was at the Kentucky Derby.
Jason Dart, I don't, okay. So it was a very exciting year at the Kentucky Derby. A horse named Golden Tempo won. And what made it so cool is this horse was in
Golden Temple?
Golden Tempo.
Oh, okay. I thought Golden Tempo
And
is
Golden
really cool.
Tempo was in the very back last place as they came around the last corner, and there was just the long stretch ahead of them. And it showed a video of his trainer, who was actually Sherry DeVaugh. This was the first female trainer to ever win the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
But it was watching her, and when the horse came around the corner, all of a sudden something changed in her. Like she knew, she saw something happening with her horse, and she came alive. That horse was in last place, but the trainer was like, no, wow, go, go, go. She was yelling for Jose, which was the jockey, but nobody else was cheering for that horse because the horse was in last place. But she saw something, and she knew something was about to happen with her horse. She knew it. If you look at her, she was the only one, but she did know. And the jockey pulled the horse to the side, and they went down the straight, and one by one he passed until he won by a nose at the very end.
It's pretty amazing.
It was amazing. It was a miracle.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about this is in Joshua 6:2, it says, "And the Lord said unto Joshua, See, I have given thee thine hand Jericho." This was before Jericho fell. We're going to talk about this whole thing, but I just love that he says, see, they're standing by these huge walls of Jericho. And like literally, if Joshua was to look up, he would just see these huge walls. But the Lord is saying, see, look, I've given it to you, almost like he knew the ending.
He expected that miracle, just like that jockey did.
He did. He expected the miracle, and it reminds me of what President Nelson said. He taught that we should seek and expect miracles. So that is the same. I'm tripping over grandchildren.
That's a good thing, right?
So we seek and expect miracles, as President Nelson said, as the Lord told Joshua to do. See, look, here I've given you Jericho. It's right there. And as this trainer knew, that trainer was looking and saw something was about to happen and knew it was coming. I love it. I love all of it.
And the story about Joshua is really full of miracles. Joshua, of course, at the end of Deuteronomy, Moses says that Joshua now is going to be the new prophet.
Wait, what does the name Joshua mean?
Joshua, well, that's a good question. Actually, it wasn't his original name. Moses gave him that name, and it actually means Jehovah saves. And of course, Jehovah is God, and it's Jesus Christ. And so it's a point to saving. And Joshua's main job was then to take the Israelites into the promised land. So how about that? You know, is somebody who's taken over a calling for somebody else that did a really great job and everybody loved. Poor Joshua, he just did not feel like he was up to it. And he had to basically finish Moses' job. And he really needed some help.
He needed encouragement, and if you look through these chapters, even before we get to Joshua, you see how Moses was his mentor and encouraged him and taught him. He actually mentored him for many years.
Oh, yeah. Many years. He was his right-hand man. Joshua, if you remember, was one of the 12 spies that went into Canaan, and one of the 2 only that had faith that God would save them. The other 10 said, no, we can't do it. That's the whole reason why they continued to wander around for 40 years. Anyway, the Lord knew Joshua needed some help, and this is what he said to him: be strong and of a good courage.
And he didn't say it once.
He said,
He didn't say it
no,
twice.
he said, be strong and have a good courage, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. What a beautiful thing. And yeah, he didn't say it once or twice. He said it how many times?
3 times.
He said it 3 times, and then even the people knew that God was saying that to him, because they repeated it back to Joshua at one point. Hey, be strong, have a good courage. The Lord's with you, so it's okay. We go into the idea of, okay, now Joshua is leading them into the promised land. They get to the Jordan River, and they can't cross the Jordan River. So the Lord tells Joshua, have the Levites who are carrying the Ark of the Covenant, have them step their feet into the Jordan River. And they did, and that's because the Lord said, if you do that, the river will be parted and you can walk through on dry ground. Where have we heard that before? It was the Red Sea thing.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
When
Go ahead.
Elder Bednar
Yeah.
came to BYU, he did a devotional for my stake and a couple other stakes. And one thing he talked about was how when we're praying for an answer for something, oftentimes it's better that we act, and then God will reveal that whether we did was the right thing or not.
Ah, right.
And this is an example of that, because God likes it when we act as well as put our faith in Him. And that's one thing they did. They put their feet in the water, and that was a big test of faith that they were showing. We know that God can do it, and then we know that God will be able to answer our prayers in some way.
Yep.
And so they were doing things, and that helps them get answers to their
To show the faith that they are
Yeah.
willing to take that step, as if they got the answer
Right.
to the prayer. That's awesome.
Right.
I love that.
It's sort of like the trainer in the Kentucky Derby. She saw something and she had action. She was cheering for that guy when he was still way in the back, knowing that he was going to win right now.
Yeah.
So they cross, and while they're crossing in the middle of the riverbed, God tells them to pick up 12 stones. So one for every person of the. Is that what
Was that the 12 tribes?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one for every member of the 12 tribes, and they took those stones and then they put them at the other side of the river, and that was supposed to teach them that here's now a memorial. Those stones were going to be big enough so that they could have a big memorial. They were small enough because one man had to carry them all, but they were supposed to do that because, as it says in Joshua 4:21, when your children shall ask their fathers in time to come, saying, what mean these stones? So we're supposed to teach our children. We come to memorials, we come to places like the temple or other places. Up north here we have a great memorial in the temple square and all the different statues and stuff. What other kind of things can we do to teach our children what we went through and how God has helped us?
Well, what about journals?
Journals is a great way, yes. As you write in your journal, I hope you're writing in it so that you know that your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren will be able to read that and know that God helped you in your life.
And not just journals, but now we can do all kinds of things like take videos of us telling stories from our childhood or moments that were significant in our life. My dad has started to send audio recordings just talking about his ancestors and stories that he remembers from his childhood, and that has been a treasure to us and to our kids to learn more about their ancestors and where their story began. So we can do things like that too.
I hope that YouTube stays around long enough for my great-grandchildren to be able to see, and signs to the nations, and see what we did and how the scriptures affect us in our lives.
Well, there's our grandkids already.
Yeah. Maybe when you guys have your own kids, you can show what Grandma and Grandpa did all this
Right.
time.
And you can do your channel when you're an adult, just like this.
Right. So they get across the sea. Before they start conquering lands, Joshua takes them on a little detour to a place called Gilgal, and he reaffirms their covenant. So they are, because circumcision kind of means something about the covenant, but the last ones that were circumcised for 40 years ago, everybody who's there now hasn't made that part of the covenant. So they redo that. They talk about the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then they also do the Passover, which they haven't really done for 40 years while they're wandering around. So this is a big moment for them to be able to renew their covenants, because they're going to need that. Because when they get in and they start fighting and taking over cities, they need to be able to get those blessings that God's going to give them. When they start eating this food for the Passover, that's when they realize that, hey, now we're in the land of milk and honey. This is what we've been promised. This is awesome stuff. This is all the food we ever wanted.
Wait, didn't manna stop coming?
Yes, you're exactly right. Manna, which came all the time when they were getting there, it was their way that God was taking care of them, didn't need to come anymore. It's almost like God was saying, hey, I've done my job now. Now you guys got to do yours. Okay, so they get to the first city, big city right on the edge of Canaan. It's called Jericho, and it has huge walls. They're not just even one layer of walls, but more than one. There's at least two layers of walls. You'd think that God would say, okay, here's a strategy, go in, use bows and arrows and swords and everything, but he doesn't. Instead, he's got a very different and unique way of conquering that city. He tells them all, you need to march around the whole city once every day for 6 days while your priests are blowing their horns, and do that for 6 days, and on the 7th day march around it 7 times, and then everybody has to start yelling, and what happens?
All the walls fall down.
The walls came tumbling down. Very weird way to conquer a city, but sometimes we got to realize God doesn't do things in a normal way, and he does it that way because he wants us to have faith.
And don't you think that would have taken a lot of faith? Can you imagine? Can you really imagine
Right?
these people marching around thinking what is supposed to be happening right now?
Yeah.
And then they go home at the end of the day and they're talking to their family members. What was that all about? Or, maybe they had some family, the wives were at home or something.
Right.
Did the walls come down today?
Yeah.
Nope,
Well,
nothing today. We just marched around again.
I can imagine the kids and stuff, the teenagers marching around, thinking we look so stupid walking
Why
around.
do we have to
this
do this
city.
every day? The first day, maybe they thought a miracle would happen, but then can you imagine, what about day 5 or 6 where, oh, we're doing it again?
Right,
What?
right. Yeah.
But we did this already and nothing happened before.
So they take the city of Jericho, which was a great thing that they did. The next city over was a place called Ai, is the way it's spelled. I think it's pronounced I or A, or I don't know what it is. It's Ai, and they go to this city and try to conquer it, and it doesn't work. And later they find out there's a guy named Achan, A-C-H-A-N, and he had been secretly stealing stuff from these cities, and he thought he could get away with this sin, and he didn't. The Lord knew about it. The Lord punished not only him, but everybody because they did not conquer that city, and he needed to repent. So he does. He repents. They recovenant, and they go and take the city. That's in chapter 8. Chapters 23 and 24 then are the last words of Joshua. It's been, I think he was probably 25 or 30 years. He was the prophet and the leader of the Israelites. He's 110 years old and he's getting to his end, and he wants to give them some great counsel, just like Moses did. And it's one of the best things ever. The theme for Joshua, a lot of it is what he said at the beginning, which was be strong and have a good courage. But then now, this theme is really kind of takes the whole thing. He says, choose you this day whom ye will serve, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I remember my mom, she used to drive me to piano lessons, and she used to talk to me about how, you know what, make a decision now to obey the commandments, and you won't ever have to worry about it, again. You've already made the decision to not ever drink or not ever do the bad things. And that stuck with me. And I think that's kind of what Joshua's saying. Choose ye this day whom you're going to serve, and everything's going to be okay.
Seeing how we see and expect miracles.
Right.
And then we talked about study. You gave us a lot of great insight and doctrine that we maybe didn't realize before about the book of Joshua.
About the book
now,
of Joshua.
Shine, how can we take some of these principles that we've talked about this week and put them into our lives?
Be like Joshua.
Be like Joshua, right? That's good. Be strong and have a good courage, right? Or make decisions right now, and that should help you for the rest of your life.
Well, just like Joshua, trust in the Lord even when he gives some unorthodox advice, like
Right.
the walls of Jericho.
Yeah. If the Lord tells you, hey, you know what? Spend 10% of your money and give it to the church. Seems odd nowadays, but the Lord's telling you to do it, so you have faith that everything's going to work and that the walls will come tumbling down.
And along those lines, maybe you just do something you don't normally do. Maybe you reach out to someone that's in your area or maybe at work, and you really open up to them and talk to them more and try and be a servant and a friend to them.
I love it. That was a great way to shine. Is that what you think too?
Yes.
Yeah, do you agree?
She says yes.
And Jake does too. Well, thanks so much for being with us today, and we hope you got something out of it, and we hope you join us next time on Ensigns to the Nations. Yeah. Good job, guys.